These panniers are pretty cool, and I'll have another video on those when I get some stuff for them. There's a guy that designed a bungee attachment that connects to these tie downs up here, and it's expandable, so you can put big boxes back here or just roll your coat up and put under it. But anyway, those are free. He's sending me a set to test try for him, so I'll be getting those probably in another week or two. This is one complaint that the guys have, is that wire gets down underneath that, keeps you from opening the lid. To remove these, you take this little plastic nut off that protects things from the bolt. These unscrew. Then these little bolts pull out the back. And then you just lean it forward, and the bottom mounts down here just lift up over the bar, and you can remove them pretty easily. The turn signals, these mounts, these panniers come with a new mount for the turn signals, because they were mounted right here. You can get plugs to put in there. I don't know if I will. Nobody can really see them. But they're a nice mount, probably made by some other company for Royal Enfield, and their finish work wasn't really good. The holes that went through here, through the metal, had big burrs on them, so I took these off and cleaned those big aluminum burrs off of the holes. And on the other side, on this side over here, the little mounts down here were pressing a little too tight against the mount. They're plastic of some kind, fiberglass. And when you tightened up the inside here, there was a big bow in this, so the lid wouldn't close properly. So I had to take those off and grind the edges off of the plastic there so that they would fit in there nice and smooth and keep this level along here so that the lid would close properly. And they are locking. They've got a enduro type semi-aggressive tire, and I believe they are, somebody said they were Pirellis. Now let's see if we can see if they're Pirellis. (120 90 17) is the size, and I don't believe that those are Pirellis. I think there's some Indian export, GRPP XLs. Don't know who makes them. Maybe in some countries they get Pirellis, but apparently we didn't get Pirellis here. The front tire is a 90 by 21, and if you're doing your research, it'll say that for the new 6 model that was had to meet all the emissions, that they went to a 19-inch front, but they didn't. These US model still has a 21-inch, which is good, much better than a 19. And obviously you can't carry just one tire with you if you want to do changes on a long trip, because they're two different sizes. The rear brake was improved on this model. There's been a lot of complaints about the brakes. This also has an ABS disconnect. It's a 2-channel ABS front and rear, but when you disconnect that, the rear one quits working, and then you can slide your tire off-road, that sort of thing. So it's a partial disconnect for the ABS. It does have a clock, something that the Honda didn't have at first. And it's 213 right now. It's got a A/B two trip odometers. Got 13 miles on it right now. And it has a third one, the F trip odometer, which when you get down to your reserve, that comes on and starts doing a countdown of how many miles you've got left. Got a tachometer, your check engine light, and I found instructions online on how to read the error codes on that, and so that you can reset it. The factory says you have to take it to a dealer to reset it, but I know how to do that now, and I know how to hook up a diagnostic wire to get it to flash the error codes, and I have a list of the error codes, so I should be able to fix anything. It has an analog fuel gauge on a fuel injected engine, which is a little strange and better in my opinion. And of course it's marked, the major part is marked in miles an hour here in the United States instead of kilometers. It does have your high and low, and it has a headlight flasher. So if you've got it on low beam, you can press that and flash your headlights for passing or whatever. Standard turn signal, turn on and press for off, horn down there. This side has got an emergency flasher. This is the first bike I've owned that has hazard warning lights front and rear on it. Just an on-off switch, and you can leave it on for 30 minutes with the key out. And your starter button, your on-off engine kill, all pretty typical stuff. Does have bar end weights, and it looks like they have cut the front brake so that when you tip over, it breaks off right there instead of breaking something up here. They didn't do that with the clutch side though. Not sure why. Does have an all stainless steel exhaust system. These are very cheap, $49.99, cheapest adventure bike you can buy, real adventure bike. Not a CT125, that's not a real adventure bike. That's a trail bike. It does have all LED lights except for the headlight, which is just a standard old halogen bulb. And I've got to order a headlight modulator for that. That one will be easy to put on. I still don't have one invented yet by Keeson Technologies for the CT125, but they're working on it. It's got a big single cylinder, long stroke 411cc engine, air cooled with an oil cooler. And it's got a lot of low end torque, a lot of grunt, and it can do 75 out on the highway. Some guys take them up to 80, even 85 down a hill. But if it'll do 70, 75 out on the highway, I'll be happy with that. It'd be nice if they would bump this up to the 500 single, but it looks like they're talking about putting a 650 twin cylinder in it, which will make it very expensive, and it will make it a lot heavier. As it is, this bike weighs as much as my big KLR 650. However, the bike is lower to the ground. I can flat foot both feet on the ground, and the weight is lower on this, so it's easier to handle. The only thing is, getting it up on the center stand is a real bear on this. I can barely get it up there. It is not an easy center stand bike. But I'm glad it's got a center stand, because if you've got somebody to help you put it up on it and you have a flat tire, or you want to do chain maintenance, you can do it on a center stand. And with the KLR, it was quite a trick to, you had to have a special tool to get it, the rear wheel off the ground. I had one I could carry with me, and I have a stand here in the garage that I can put under the rear swing arm that lift the whole bike up. But I like bikes with center stands, and now all 4 of my motorcycles have center stands. Royal Enfield has been around since 1901. They've been building bikes like this since about 1950. This particular bike, the adventure bike, they've only been building since 2018. But it's built with the same technology and similar engine and everything. It's not really new, it's just the style is new. And they've been doing that since about 1950. So they've been around a long time. Unfortunately, India is not a high-tech country, third world country, and they've got a combination of old school mechanical on this and new school electronics with fuel injection. And they're not really up on the electronics like the Japanese are, so this is not going to be nearly as sophisticated, dependable bike as a Japanese bike, but it's very easy to work on, and it's a good thing because it's probably going to need some work. Although there are people that's put tens of thousands of miles on these that have never had to do a thing to them, and then there are people that have little niggling problems like that gear shift indicator not working, and it's just probably going to need some work here and there. When you ride it, it feels a little clunky and a little old school, but it's not too bad. It has a fuel injection, but it has, people call this a choke. Other people say that it's just a idle speed. It just gets your idle speed up when it's cold. And other people call it an enrichener. So I don't really know why you would need to increase your idle speed with fuel injection. That should overcome cold weather and idle speed and stuff, but their fuel injection is not up to par with the cars and bikes that we're used to. So they do it a little bit different. So that's just something to be aware of. The 2021 models in the rest of the world have already upgraded from this 2021. In the United States, we tend to get them a year late. So this is like the bikes they got in India in 2020. The 2021s have a tripper that mounts off to the side of here and a larger windshield to go around all of that, and a little bit taller. The tripper is a GPS navigation, but it runs off your phone. And all it does is just point the direction you should go. It doesn't have a map on it or anything. And it also has a harder seat. I understand it's harder, it's denser foam, because people have complained that this seat is too soft. But for me, you can't get a seat too soft because I'm so lightweight and I don't have any padding back there. So they made very few improvements for the real 2021s. They do have a larger rack for the rear, though. That would be the only one thing that I wished I could have gotten on the real 2021s, but we'll probably see it here in 2022. Anyway, that's the Royal Enfield Himalayan. If you have any questions, please post them below. I will get back to you. And so far, I'm relying on the guys that have already had these for several years to tell me what to watch for. The spark plug is something that Bosch spark plug they buy in bulk in India. Probably don't pay anything for them. And a lot of guys had trouble with those. So they recommend as soon as you get it, put in an NGK. So I have an NGK ordered. Should be here in a couple days. We'll put that in. Also, the battery seems to be low par. And if you get a year out of it, you'll be lucky. And guys are putting in all sorts of different batteries, but the one I'll put in will be a lithium battery, which is easier to fit in there because these are really tight to get in. And so we'll put a lithium in there, have a lot of room left over. So as I add more stuff to this and do some test riding, we'll make some more videos. But for now, that's what it is. We'll start it up and let you listen to the engine. Got that single cylinder thump. And even with that enrichener on, it died right away. You can probably hear the valves clattering. Noisy valves are happy valves. Oh yeah, that did speed it up a little bit, but you have to pull it all the way down and hold it. Otherwise it returns to midpoint, and that's the same as off. Doesn't do anything. Okay, keep watching, and we'll see if we can get everything working on this properly. The owner's manual did say don't use any polish on the paint on this vehicle. It will cause discoloration. It also said wash the bike only with water, no detergent. It will cause discoloration. I don't know what kind of BS that is, but I've never seen any paint yet you couldn't put wax or polish on it, so I waxed this one really nice. It's got a good shine, but being overly cautious of everything, I guess, so that they don't have to replace anything under warranty. The paint was not properly buffed out, and there was a real dull spot in the blue over here where they hadn't buffed it out to a polish. So I buffed that out to a polish, and around the white over here it was the same way. So I buffed that out, and now I've got all the shine in it that it was supposed to have. Very poor workmanship overall. I hope that doesn't show up on the bike over the years as I ride it.